Have you ever wondered how to introduce new things to your horse? If you have, then keep watching because I'm going to share with you how I do it. Hi, I'm Lene, and this is my horse Baby, and this was something that I knew she was afraid of, so the first thing that I did was walk her up to it so she could sniff it. Once she sniffed it, I went ahead and petted her and told her she was a good girl. I set up this obstacle course today with some different things, like post and a bridge and this thing here and some noodles and some cones. I did it with my horse Chance first, and she was afraid of this thing right here. I drug it past her pen with my other horse and she didn't like it, so we did a couple walking over posts first, and then I wanted to take her to this thing and see if I could get her to relax with it. So the way that I did it was similar to desensitizing, and what I'm doing right now is just moving it in front of her, and if she's a good girl for just a couple times or so, I stop, and right there I just kind of let her relax a little bit, and then I just moved it again. If she's not showing any signs of being afraid, then I stop. Like right there, she was afraid, so you don't want to stop moving it when they're afraid of it, because if you do, then you just taught them to be more afraid of it because you release the pressure. So if they're moving because they're afraid of it, you have to keep moving with them, and when they stop moving their feet, then you can release the pressure, and that's their reward. That shows them that they did what you wanted them to do, and the reward is the release. So she's looking at it, she's kind of scared, see, she's wanting to move, so I kept moving it until she seemed like she was standing still and not moving her feet. And right there, she just actually cocked her leg, and that's a sign of acceptance. So they have different signs of accepting something. One is this right here, cocking the leg. Another is they'll sigh, or they'll lick their lips. I watched their eyes too, and she was she she was blinking. To me, that's a good sign, is if they're looking at it and they look scared, but as long as they're blinking, and if they're not blinking while you're moving the new thing around, as long as they hold their feet still or give you a sign, that's okay. And then what I do, when I pet them, I pet them or rub their face until I do notice that they blink. To me, it just shows that they're here, and they're not so scared that their eyes are going to pop out of their head. Yeah, she just kind of moved, so I'm going to keep moving it. And now she's being good. She's not moving. So I just kept the pressure a little bit longer. She didn't move her feet, so I stopped. I released the pressure, told her she was a good girl, and just rested for a few seconds and then did it again. And if they don't show a sign of cocking their leg or sighing or licking their lips or anything like that, and they stand still and don't move their feet, then you can release the pressure. And in the beginning, when she was more afraid of it, if she stood still for a couple seconds or so, I stopped. And now as we're going on, I'll do it a little bit longer. So I just keep the pressure going for, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds or so. And as long as they don't move their feet, even though they're not showing any signs of acceptance, as long as they don't move their feet and they hold still, you release the pressure and then reward them. So we were done and we were going to walk away, and she wanted to sniff it, so I let her sniff it. Now she's licking her lips, which is a really good sign. She's like, okay, that was like no big deal. I petted her, told her she was a good girl, and we walked over and I think we did serpentines here through the cones. Just zigzag. This kind of helps with teaching them to listen to your body. So they should move with you and away from you when you're zigzagging to the right, and stay with you when you're zigzagging to the left. So at the end of the cones, we had a noodle, and I thought, oh, this will be good. This will be another new scary thing. And she's real sensitive, so this was actually good for her today. I think this kind of stuff, see, she's afraid of it here. And I realized after a few seconds that I kind of had it close to her and was kind of going, not really under her nose, but a little, close to her. And I think that was scaring her more. So, but she was good with it. Just petted her, told her she was a good girl. And after this, I moved it to the side so she could see it better. I think sometimes horses, if they get things under their nose or too close to them, it kind of makes them worried. Especially somebody like her, she's sensitive, and this kind of stuff to me it's like emotional fitness. It stimulates them, and especially horses that are sensitive and afraid of things like this. I think the more stuff that you do like this, they over time are able to handle more and more. It's just like training a muscle. When you work a muscle, over time it gets stronger and stronger. And I think it's the same with this kind of stuff too. When you're introducing new stuff to them that seems scary at first, which would be like introducing a new weight. If when you're working out, at first that weight's going to feel heavy, but over time it's going to get lighter and lighter. It's going to feel easier and easier. And I noticed this is the first time I've done this kind of thing with the noodle and the thing that we just did, the little sled thingy. I have used the stick with her about 3 or 4 times, and what I noticed with her is she does accept, but I have to go slow with her, and I have to really pay attention to how she's reacting to it. And this isn't really about teaching them to not spook at things or be afraid of things. It's, to me, I see it as you're teaching them to trust you. And if you watch for your signs and you release the pressure when they do give you a sign of acceptance, and you release the pressure, they learn that they can trust you. Now, if you're doing something to them, like this noodle, if I shook it at her and she was licking her lips and I kept shaking it at her, she might not trust me as much because I didn't release the pressure. You have to have pressure, and then you have to have release in order for them to learn. And if you keep up the pressure, they're not going to really understand what you want. And this right here, she was good. She didn't move her feet. So, and every time she was good and stood there, I'd pet her, tell her she was a good girl. And I would talk to her too while I was doing these things and tell her, you're okay, you're a good girl. And right there, she just licked her lips. So she accepted that. And I purposely threw that like that to see what she would do, to see if she would jump or anything. And she didn't move her feet. She kind of raised her head a little bit, but that was kind of the test. And now we're going to go back over to the little sled thing. I think this is like a little sled thing that you can slide down a hill with snow. So I just tied some binder twine to it, and I'm actually going to walk with her and drag it. You know, this is what scared her. I was doing this with my other horse, and we went by her pen, and it scared her. She ran away from it. She had her ears up and her eyes were bulging out. So I really wanted to get to her with this today to see how she would do. And she seems a lot more relaxed with it this time. And now we're going to drag it. And I drag it on each side of her. And this first way is on her off side. And I think she did better on her other side. Oh, I guess I swung it around a little bit first, but see how much better she is? She's a lot better than in the beginning. So, and her eyes were more relaxed, and she wasn't as worried. So I was really happy with that, because when I took my other horse by her pen and she ran from it, I was like, ooh, okay, this is something we need to work on. So I'm on her offside leading her, and she's like, I'm not sure about this. But she was really good. I thought she would probably try to go faster, and she didn't. She was really good. She stayed with me. And I'm just going slow because she's kind of a little cautious and leery, like, what is that thing coming with us now? Why is it coming with us? And there she just licked her lips one time. So I petted her, told her she was a good girl, let her turn so she could see it. And now this is her normal side that we're going to drag it on. And I think she did a little bit better this way. So a lot of times horses, we don't do a lot of stuff on their off side, so sometimes things like that will be more scary on their off side than their normal side that you work with. So see, she did better on this side. It felt more comfortable. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't have to do with the off side or regular side. It's just that I found it to kind of be that way because we do a lot more things from the left side instead of the off side, which is the right side. You know, we don't lead them from the right side, we lead them from the left side. And I've noticed that, and I try to do things on both sides, you know, but I still always do things more on the left side. But horses will usually have one side that's better than the other. So just because you desensitize them on one side doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do it on the other side. So that's why it's good to do both sides. And that's why I drug it next to her on both sides. And that's why with the noodle, I and the stick, when I use the stick and desensitize her, slapping the string on the ground and, you know, swinging the stick, swinging the string on her body. You have to do both sides. And so we just came up here and wanted to stop on top, and I wanted to walk her over and stop her back feet on, and we didn't do that. I did it with my other horse, and I thought, well, let's try it with her too. She did better of stepping up on it and just stepping over it than he did. But I could stop him and get his back feet on it too, and he stood there. So we're going to try it again. And we didn't get it done this time either. So that's something that we're going to have to work on. And that's okay, we'll do it again. We have time to work on these kind of things. This was a fun day. This is the first time I've done stuff like this with her, and it was just one of those days where I wanted to do something different. And I'm going to start doing more of these kind of things with all of my horses. And this last thing that we did is somewhat new to her, as far as disengaging her hips and then changing directions. And this is the first time we did it with the bridge too, and she was such a good girl. I've tried changing directions with her a couple times by stepping in front of the drive line, and it's almost too confrontational. She gets a little hot, so we're going to have to work on that too, but this works really well for her for now. So I asked her to disengage her hind end and just switch directions and walk back over the bridge in the opposite direction. Now my other horse, he tries to totally step all the way over it instead of on top of it. But that was so good. I was so proud of her. Anyway, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.